Hey guys, so if you've been around the channel for a while, you definitely know that the EuroRack has kind of changed over the last couple of years without me talking much about the exact things that I've put in and taken out. I've definitely made a couple mistake buys over the time that I've had my modular. And the Mother 32's, well, both of them are gone. So let's kind of get into why I did these things and these changes, the upgrades that I made overall, and some of the things that I'd like to buy in the future for my EuroRack. So without any further ado, let's get into it. First module on the top right is the Lifeforms SV1. I got the Lifeforms SV1 back in like 2016. It was the first semi-modular synth other than the Moog Mother 32 that I got. When I saw it at the NAMM 2016 show, I was sort of like about it because it looked great, but it didn't have the sequencing capabilities of, say, the Mother 32. So I picked it up and I was totally in love with it. As you can see, there are no Mother 32's in this rack, but there's definitely a bunch of Pittsburgh Modular stuff, and the SV1 is kind of like the centerpiece to the entire synth here. So I definitely use this all the time for a lot of leads and a lot of kind of patty things. I really like the mixer and the modulation capabilities of this with the digital LFOs. Definitely one of my top favorite semi-modular synths, just in general, I love it. Second over is the Tip Top Audio Fold Processor. So this is one of those modules that I kind of am like about. I got it on Amazon and I think I was in that crazy like Prime addiction thing that I was having. So it was kind of like on sale and I just picked it up. I don't use it as much as I probably should. It's a lot deeper than you think. I would definitely trade this for something else. I just don't have anything that I really would pick to take its place at the moment. So it's here. I used it on the snare actually in the last video for the Delptronics module. So it's cool, you know, it's all right. So next up is the Lifeforms Analog Replicator. So I really love the sound of the analog replicator. It's dirty, it's kind of grimy, it's got both of the different kinds of delay lengths. You can do a lot of modulation capabilities inside of the module. I definitely would say it's my go-to bucket brigade analog kind of module for delay. I don't use it maybe as much as some of the other modules for delay, but if I want that bucket brigade sound, I totally hit up the analog replicator. It's really good. Next up is the Erbe-Verb from Make Noise. This was actually one of the first modules I got. I remember this was incredibly expensive at the time. I think I got it for maybe like $400 or something. It was insane to me to buy this when I hadn't had any experience with EuroRack back in like 2016. So you'll remember this from the original videos that I had. This was the effects that I used on most of my patches. It's usually bused to actually the next module over. It's used as kind of a overall effects unit for everything that goes through the next module. So it's almost like irreplaceable, honestly. Next up is the Lifeform system interface. I use this for everything. Now, I've heard a couple of people say that there was noise in their system interface. And I'm not gonna say that there wasn't any noise, but I'm going to say that it's an acceptable amount of noise if you know what you're doing. There's sometimes I have an issue with a little bit of crosstalk, but overall for the functionality, it's a good module. You know, this is the master for everything. So I love it. I love the readouts. I love the drive. There's almost nothing bad to say about the module. 6 inputs, I mean, it's great. So yeah, next up is the KB1 from Pittsburgh Modular. I don't know if I have to say any more about this than it's a fantastic keyboard module. I definitely wouldn't be able to feel like my EuroRack was complete without this module. It's freaking fantastic. It's actually a lot more responsive than I think people might think. And I definitely feel I can play it accurately, and I practice on it just because it is that much fun. So I definitely use it, and its sequencing capabilities are awesome. While I wish that you could use the gate 1 and 2 to have different pitches for each one and have like 2 different sequences, you can't do that, but it's still really awesome. And I use it with the SV1 like all the time. The Moretax Data, right? The Moretax Data is like this centerpiece for the clocking and any kind of utilitarian things I want to do with the modular. I use it for the master clock for everything, and it literally is fantastic. I feel like I couldn't do the EuroRack without the Moretax Data. I really enjoy the the screen readout. It's like super clear and it's crisp. Everything seems to be in its place. Using it might seem from the outside like it's complicated, but it's like stupid simple once you kind of get to know it. I feel like it's literally the brain of the entire modular, my entire synth. So the 4MS rotating clock divider actually is from the original EuroRack. It's not actually used as much as I used to use it, but it's actually used a lot because a lot of times I'll have something coming from the data that I want to kind of adjust, but I only have 4 outputs on the Moretax Data. So the rotating clock divider still gets used a lot. I actually own the rotating clock multiplier as well. I forget if that's what it's called, but the multiplier, I actually don't use the multiplier as much because I like how the Moretax Data has many different outputs where you can have many different BPMs and tempos set to each one. So the rotating clock divider it's great. Like 4MS's module, like it's fantastic, but I don't use as much as I used to. So next is the ErgaSense Black Wavetable VCO and Black Dual VCF. I got these modules together as a pair. I definitely use them differently where I think that the Wavetable VCO is crazy cool in terms of like the tones, and it comes with a whole extra sound palette. If you install the chip, which is like awesome. I think the sounds of the wavetables are really, really smooth in terms of like when you talk about wavetables, sometimes they get real grainy and like gritty and whatnot, things like the Prophet VS kind of wavetables. I think that the wavetables in this are really, really good. You can do a lot of stuff with it. The dual VCF is really awesome because it's 2 obviously filters in one module. The size is good, the knob size is good. I've liked kind of the spectrum analyzer. It's overall really great. I use it a lot, but maybe I would not use it as much if it didn't have 2 channels, let's put it like that. All right, the Make Noise Mask, the module that everyone hates before, I think, because I called it an effects module, but to me, I still use it as sort of like sort of a LFO module, sort of. I do other things with it, but I know I'm not using it to its full capability, but I primarily keep it as sort of an LFO module. I use the cycle buttons a lot. It's incredibly flexible because if I just use it, it just works. I really like the mask, but I definitely am not using up to its capabilities. There's so many videos from like Once Upon a Synth. I think Once Upon a Synth has a great video about that, so definitely check that out if you want to know all about the mask. He's better than I am. Okay, next to that is the Tip Top SD 808. It's the snare drum for the 808. It's fantastic. The snare on that hits hard, like it hits so hard. I've never actually felt like I needed another snare when I think about that type of snare. It just super kind of flexible, but also just the sound quality is just like, for me, it's pristine. I really like that module a lot. The next module is a mixer module from Manhattan Audio, I think. I hope I'm not getting that wrong. Honestly, I use that module primarily for submixes of things. The module is actually really good. I believe it's based on a Moog sort of a mixer sound. I use it because the guys at Perfect Circuit said it was a good module, so I have not been disappointed with that. So hopefully, if you guys know tons more, I don't have the box right now, so I use that module a lot for submixes. It's really a good module, solid. So the 4MS stereo trigger sampler, that sampler is fantastic for me personally. I feel like it does just enough, but not too much to become complicated. In my EuroRack, I definitely needed a sampler, and the STS is like the perfect module for me. I don't think samplers sometimes are what people actually think of when they think of modular, but I like to use my modular as sort of a DAW without like computer screens, except for the Moretax Data, obviously. But it just kind of gives me like a total flexibility when I want to use some kind of like sampled voices or like different kind of sounds in my module. I really like the STS. You can do tons with that. So the Strymon Magneto is like the ultimate tape delay in a module. I love how many knobs it has. It's just super flexible, and it has so many different ways you can go in and out of the module with clock, or you can just patch out of the repeats. I mean, like, you may have other modules for delay like I have, but it does something so well, and it's so unique. I definitely feel as if there's a delay module that could not be replaced for what it does, it is the Strymon Magneto. So next up is the RYO VC sequencer, and I pair it with the tune module from 2HP. I can't say that I use this that much only because I don't do a lot of those running sequences. I honestly got it because it had like 8 blinking lights and they look really cool, I can't lie. I don't use this module or the module from the 2HP because it kind of goes with it very much at all. It's just not how I run my modular, but I do think they're cool. I think that if I got more into that kind of a sequencing, I would love it, but I just don't use it, so there's that. So the Make Noise pressure points and brains, right? Make Noise was able to send those to me because of a comment someone made. And I really wasn't necessarily into the pressure points and brains. I didn't think that, for me, they were what I wanted to put into my rack, but I have to thank the person for making that comment on Twitter, because this is totally one of my favorite modules ever now. Like, the combination of pressure points and brains is, to me, absolutely unique but necessary. Them together makes the perfect pair. I use them in such a fun way with the STS in the video for the brains and pressure points. It was like so perfect. Like, this module does so much more than you really think. So I absolutely, obviously recommending that. So last up is the Lifeforms percussion sequencer, along with the Delptronics modules, the Little Drummer Boy and the expansion module. I use those all together. I really have, it intimidated me at first, the percussion sequencer, but after I got into it, I realized that that is just such a fantastic module. The effects you can do, the way that it sequences, the visual readouts, something about Pittsburgh Modular modules. I mean, I think I'm just so used to them that eventually it's like second nature how the modules work. I love the effects. I love the glitch effect. I love the density effect. It's just perfect. It has like 4 outputs, plus you can do, so I use it just hand in hand with the Delptronics modules, because I use those kind of like with 4 sounds usually. They just work perfectly together for me. So case-wise, I started with the A100 from Dofer, and now I've got the Structure, which is, to me, the best case I've ever owned. It's beautiful, it's strong, it's sturdy, it's got the cover, so when you go and you're moving it on the road, it's just all in one place. It's, honestly, I love this case like more all the time. Like, I feel like it's indestructible, and the power supply inside is freaking fantastic, like awesome. Anyway, guys, I think that does it for me randomly rambling about my EuroRack. If there's any modules you'd like to suggest to me, please drop them in the comments below and give me links to where I can see some videos about them. I'd really like to check them out. Obviously, you guys know my style. I kind of like some melodic modules. I kind of like the rhythm modules. So if there's anything like that, I definitely want to hear about them. So anyway, I really thank you guys for sticking around to the end. If you did, it's been a long one, I bet. So remember to like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you like, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.